Hi, I'm Adams Nady, and today we're going to take a look at a few different types of delay using a 1979 Moog Prodigy as our sound source. We're going to listen to and decide which one sounds the best, and it might not be what you think, especially when it comes to playing with the delay speed whilst recording. So I think we can agree there are three main types of delay: tape, analog, and digital. There's also drum delay, which we won't go into now, but look at the Binson Echo Rec for that. And actually the Volante does have a drum setting. But for now, let's look at the gear we're going to use. For the tape delay, we're going to use this Tandberg reel-to-reel, using this Fostex X77 for the routing. For the tape delay modeling pedal, we're going to use this Strymon Volante. Thanks to Jessica Roch for lending it to me for this demo. She's an absolute beast. Please go and check her stuff out. For the tape delay plugin, we're going to use this Arturia Tape Delay 201, of course modeled after the Roland Space Echo. For our analog delay, we're going to use this JHS Digitech Delay. For our digital delay, we're going to use this Boss DD6. And for the plugin, we're going to split the difference between analog and digital and use the Waves H delay. So I'm just going to do a little bit of noodling, a little bit of whittling of the delay speed. I'm going to keep the Moog with the exact same settings, keep everything in the same key, but I will be playing around with the cutoff. Okay, first, vintage tape delay. So that tape delay was definitely the darkest, and dark delays are kind of a trademark of tape delay. With my previous desk, I was able to dial in some more highs, but at the moment it's all quite noisy, so we're just gonna have to accept it for what it is. That being said, to my ears, I think the tape delay unit had the most characterful and rich sound. Though as you heard, there were a lot of clicks and pops to it, so I think it needs a proper service soon. Now the Volante sounded great, but one giveaway on its digital processing was the sound of me changing the speed compared to when I was doing it on the analog tape delay. And it also felt a bit smaller overall, and I think that really comes from not having that same analog saturation and warmth that you get from using a real unit. Now I don't want to talk shit about it because it does sound great and there are a lot of options for tone sculpting, but so far I think the tape machine's winning for me. Okay, so the real test is the plugin. This is subjective, but I think the plugin sounds better than the Volante. And I'm sure they're modeling different things, but to my ear, the plugin just sounds a bit warmer and deeper. Though, as I suspected, one letdown is where you're changing the delay rate, where you can hear that high frequency digital almost E sound as it's responding to the speed changes. Okay, now to analog delay, starting with the JHS Digitech. Now you might be hearing a bit of a breakup on some of those delays, and there's a little trim pot inside which you can adjust to extend or decrease the delay time, and if you extend it too far you start to get some digital noise, and I think I just need to dial it back a tiny bit to avoid that. I keep saying this, but I promise I will do a video on this unit eventually. Anyway, similar to the tape delay, the delays are a bit warmer, a bit darker. You're losing fidelity with each repeat, but that results in a very characteristic and almost nostalgic sound. Now, I love the DD6. It's one of the first pedals I bought and it's been with me for nearly 20 years. I will say that similar to the Volante, you are losing some warmth and body when compared to an analog unit. It also does sound quite unstable when you change the delay time and far more erratic than with the JHS. But in comparison to a few other digital delays I've tried, it does still have its own characterful sound. But can it compete with the plugin? Okay, what I will say is that the plugin did have a bit more depth and body to it, and it did react to delay time changes in a slightly more musical and stable way. But there is something about the pristineness of the DD6 and the way it handles delay. There's an almost ethereal quality to it. So what do I think? I think the vintage units sound amazing, and there's no denying that the imperfections lead to a certain characterful richness. I love physical stuff, I love turning knobs, I love pushing sliders, I love the whole paraphernalia that comes with creating these sounds. But to be honest, I think the plugins are fine for making music, even though sometimes the plugins are actually more expensive than the hardware units. The physical stuff does take extra time to set up, and when you're up against it time-wise, that really does add up. Which ones did you like the most? And do you think I should have used some different plugins to get a more legitimate hardware or analog sound? Anyway, have fun, take risks, make weird stuff. If you enjoyed this and you want to support me, please consider heading over to Bandcamp and buying my music. Follow me in all the places. Why not give a like? Nice. Why not leave a comment? Why not subscribe? And then unsubscribe in exactly 48 hours.
You have 2 days.
Thank you. Goodbye. Fuck Spotify.